So, it's the end of the epic challenge. Didn't end how we wanted it to, but we thought we'd do a debrief and go through the highs and the lows of the trip. So, Lloyd, how are you feeling today? I know you were very, very disappointed this morning when we got up.
Yeah, pretty down. Still pretty. I think it'll take a little while for me to get over I suppose the failure. There's a lot of positives there that we'll come on to in the coming questions, I guess. But my initial feelings of disappointment are just letting myself and other people down. Really, there's no hiding that.
You've not let anybody down. You, as I said to you last night, you ran the length of Scotland. There would be only a small amount of people that could do that in 6.5 days.
Yeah, it's quite harsh terrain. About 350 miles we did to get to the border of Scotland and into England, and we did that in just under 6.5 days. So it was averaged about 53 miles a day, and at the point where I called it a stop at the end of that first week, we did 733,000 steps in a week. Pretty tough going.
That is pretty impressive. So let's have a chat about the highs of the 7 days. So what were the things that you look back on fondly on the trip?
The terrain was, by and large, pretty amazing, particularly bits of the remote areas of the Cairngorms. Actually quite some lovely little villages that you go through. You really appreciate what the UK has to offer a lot more. So there was all of that, and I think also the achievements. I'm not overlooking the achievements of crossing Scotland in the time frame I did. It wasn't what I set out to do. So there's still a tinge of disappointment, but I think in time that achievement of crossing the whole of Scotland will be, that achievement will be bigger.
So what about yesterday, the crossing over into England from Scotland?
Yeah, so it was double-edged, I guess. And by that point I was in so much pain, about 50 miles to go. I was so glad I got to the border. That was certainly a high point, but it was extremely painful at that stage to get to the border. So,
I mean, the other high point of the trip was you crossing the Forth Bridge.
Yeah, so in each day you have your highs and lows within each bit of the day, and I had a huge low point. But then 10 miles later, the site of the crossing came in, and it's really imposing structure on the landscape. And it just starts to really spur you on. And actually, crossing the bridge itself was something special.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how you really started running quicker, and the way that it sort of picked you up, just seeing it in the distance. And I think some of the photographs that I took that you've now seen on the videos that you've watched back shows how you actually saw it coming into vision. So the lows, I mean, are the lows all just injury related, or are there any other lows that you can think of the trip? The weather, I suppose, on the first couple of days. Well, days 2 and 3, I think it was.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's a low. I suppose it's just you just look at it and you roll your eyes, especially when it's raining and you've got to set out in it. When it starts to rain, as you're already out, you just deal with it. There's that sort of impending gloom when it's 5 to 5 in the morning and it's hammering it down outside. But that's the British weather for you. You've just got to deal with it. It's just part of the challenge.
Well, the weather didn't seem to faze you as much as obviously the feet and the potential shin injury.
Yeah, I mean, one of the lows was really just a shock on the first day, where I've been typically used to doing really some decent mileage on the first day. And at lunchtime, after leaving John O'Groats, I was absolutely spent. I was just thinking, how on earth was I going to be able to do this? But actually, which I suppose it turns into a high, my energy levels actually increased overall. I was very tired, but I didn't have the muscle fatigue that I had at lunchtime on the first day. So that was a huge positive. The issue at the end of it was just my biomechanically, I was just, things were broken. So
I mean,
not much I could have done about it.
When we had expected on day one for you to do sort of over 60 miles. I mean, we worked on the basis of you've done
65 maybe.
You've done 63, I think, was it, on the first day of the coast to coast, and that was crossing the Lake District. So we worked on the basis, well, from JOGLE Groats it's fairly flat, you'll do a lot longer, but it just didn't work out like that. And for some reason, there was just something that was holding you back physically from being able to do that.
Yeah, it's speculation. Something wasn't right. I don't know what it was, but I was too fatigued. Just something in the system wasn't right, and we can guess what it was down to. I had my COVID jab about 7 days before, and I actually had quite a bad reaction to it. But whether it was that, whether it was something else, who knows.
So let's talk about the injuries in general that you've suffered. So it's not just the feet and ankles, you've also got quite a lot of mouth and lip ulcers.
Shall we work from the bottom up?
Yeah, go for it.
So basically, I think there'll be a photograph taken of my right foot. I think it will show without any doubt I made the right decision to stop, because the foot has deteriorated further, even though I haven't done anything today.
It's quite bruised on top now, isn't it?
Well, when I started having a shower at the end of yesterday, I actually said to you that I think my foot's starting to go slightly black, and I think the bruising and the blood was clearly something was going on there. But the foot, I can't even get them into my trainers without even shoelaces tied through the eyes. The foot's that big. I think it's just a chain reaction. It's the pounding on the soles of the foot that just cannot underemphasise how tiring that sore it is. So I've known for a while I've got some bony spurs. It's not arthritis, but it's something similar, I guess. And as the ankle moves, it causes irritation. It's something I've had to live with. But I think the accumulation of that irritation caused some swelling in my ankle, and progressively it got worse and started causing other effects. And I've got no doubt that's also probably connected to the shin splint or the stress fracture I've had in my shin.
I mean, that in itself, the shin issue is something that you've not encountered before.
Never before. I've never had a shin splint. Many runners do. I've not been one of them. Never understood what that injury was, but by God do I now. It was absolutely excruciating. Just even touching the hairs of the skin was pretty sore, and that's not over-egging it. There's also lots of other minor ailments. A strange one is the mouth. I'd heard about this and just sort of laughed it off. I thought, it's a bit of a funny one. But I've had the same in the ultra running community. People talk about problems with their mouth because of the amount of eating they've got to do and drinking fluid. And I've got quite a lot of sores around the bottom of my lip, and quite a few ulcers on my tongue, and I've had a few blood blisters in my gums as well. I'm not going to lie and say it's made eating excruciating, but it's uncomfortable.
Which is probably why we changed to meals that slid down quite easily at lunchtime, like the chili con carne, tins of rice pudding, chicken curry. You just wouldn't. Otherwise, if people have never done that sort of challenge before, you wouldn't think about it. But actually, even today, it feels like the roof of my mouth and my tongue feels like I've eaten something far too hot. Or someone's like rubbed my tongue with sandpaper. That's that sort of sensation. And I knew it was the pain that was stopping you wanting to eat, because there was days when I was keeping a log of everything that you were eating, and I knew you weren't eating enough, and I was physically having to feed you items to get you to eat.
It gets to a point where actually it's impossible almost impossible to fuel your body to meet its demands, because I mean you're talking, I thought with the mileage I was doing maybe 8,000 calories a day, something along those lines, and you think, well, happy days. But you try doing that and trying to do that whilst moving and running at the same time, and your body by and large says thanks but no thanks.
So what about other parts of your body? Anything else?
There's bits that came and went. So actually the first day the issue was very much about my muscular state. So my quads were dead.
That seemed to go off later in the trip.
Seemed to go off. So actually towards the end it wasn't so much muscular or energy, it was just the more physically I was unable to continue. You know, if I've got ankle joints that are 2 or 3 times its normal size, there's not much really I could have done about that. But physically I'm alright, you know, I could have continued. I have no doubt I could have done this. I suppose that's what makes it a bit more irritating, because my body's let me down again. But actually I could have done this.
I mean, from a mental point of view, you know, was it quite trying on you from a mental perspective? I mean, you didn't have any music. You were on your own for long periods. I mean, I know I saw you quite a lot of the day, but you were alone in your own thoughts. You know, pounding the road.
Yeah, it's a strange one, because you're thinking all the time. But if you asked me what was I thinking about, I probably couldn't tell you. So you're sort of taking the scenery in, but you're not as well. You know, you're just concentrating on making progress.
So, what was JOGLE turned into the Challenge of Scotland? We'll now call it. So, what's next, Lloyd? Or is that it now?
I think immediately I need a rest for 2 or 3 weeks. There's a lot of demands my body has paid out, and I think now it needs some R&R. I've got no plans of attempting JOGLE again. I think that's done. You never say never though, but I can't see it.
What about just the England section?
I don't see any particular need for it. And to be honest, you know, I mentioned about my injury earlier. It's a long-standing one. It's never going to go, and the ankle puffiness has happened on the coast to coast as well.
We've kept it at bay a little bit longer on this journey, though.
We've learned to manage it. It looks like it can only be managed up to a point, and I think in this one it's also a bit different in that it's all on tarmac, or 90% of it, but the ankle was never going to stand up to much more pounding than what we gave it. So no immediate plans. I just think it's some well-earned rest.
So I suppose the last thing to say to everybody is just thank you so much for your support throughout the last 7 days. It really did keep them going, me reading out everybody's comments and posts on Facebook and YouTube. So, and you even had a fan out on the road on Friday.
Yeah.
So Malcolm, thanks for coming out and supporting and having a chat with Lloyd.
Yeah, it's. I'm sorry we couldn't make the journey go any further. I actually feel most disappointed for people who wanted to follow and see do some dot watching, if you like, through the tracker. But frankly, as I say, I could have hobbled on and done some really low mileage each day and just got further south. But this, as I say, was a running challenge, not a limp as far as you can challenge. So I've had to call it a day, and I think also for me mentally, I was spent. I took as much pain as I could, and that was it. So thank you for everybody who gave me support along the way. I'm really sorry I couldn't complete it. I'm more disappointed for those who were willing me on than I am for myself, actually, and that's the biggest disappointment for me.
Well, all I can say is finish that beer and cheers to doing what many of your forefathers have done before
Cheers.
you and conquering Scotland as an Englishman.
Yeah.
Cheers.
First pint I've had in about 4 weeks.